Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy to the start to this nice Friday morning here, as it is a big Friday. It's a big girthy one, baby. Lots of content to reference the conversation from last night. But one of the major things that we've been waiting for on this channel for over a year now, amongst many other things that actually have been started to fire off in the past few months here, has actually happened. And what that means for the next month to 2 months of price action, plus a bit of a revisitation of the short-term timeframes. As always, short-term timeframes different than higher-term timeframes, so we need to paint multiple different pictures here. But ultimately, I want to get into one last thing before we get into the content, which is this. The sale is still going on. We got the 5-year anniversary sale, which is, again, insane. I know I keep on repeating myself with this, but it's just like I haven't had enough time to sit down and like fully internalize what. It's like one... parentheses, what? What does that mean? What does it mean? It's been 5 years. It's insane. It means a lot. It means a lot to me, at least. But more importantly for you is that we actually have a sale going on, which is going to be lasting another few days. What's even more important, however, is that you can get the Lite for free if you follow the link in the description below and all of the directions that come alongside with it. For the first month, I should say, if I didn't already say that. And I should also let you know that we're actually going to be sundowning this particular service here with the Lite. We will offer the Lite on a subscription service as well, but not with the premium features. It'll be a whole different thing, and the price will be greater for the Lite. What does that mean for the people who are currently in premium? We're not going to raise the price on you. Obviously, as long as you say subscribe to the premium, you will remain at that current price point and have all the benefits of that for eternity, as well, as long as you're like still, you know, on the monthly subscription, right? But yes, you know, the price will be going up from about $30 to $40, and that will start probably sometime around the end of this month. So I just want to give you a good kind of head start with that, especially as long as this promotion is going on, because, well, you know, it's important to be obviously transparent with this sort of information, so it's not a major surprise. Anyways, now that we've gotten that out of the way, we can go back to the regular view, and it's time to get into the actual chart. So first and foremost, what is that big old thing that happened for the first time in a long time? Well, it is this, the 5-day Gaussian channel. Bitcoin has closed the 5-day time frame last night above the mean band for the first time since January of 2022, way back all the way over here, as you can see. Ever since then, Bitcoin's been getting rejected by it and living well below it. What does this mean for the long term? Well, anytime that we have seen Bitcoin on a higher term time frame like this live below the 5-day Gaussian channel while it is red, that has initiated a potential long-term setup when Bitcoin reclaims the red zone. Now, obviously, Bitcoin reclaimed the red zone, you know, back in January, which was another major reason why we were starting to look, you know, towards higher and higher prices on this channel. But what has happened now is that it's closed above the mean band. And all of the prior times in Bitcoin's history where it's closed above the mean band, it's gotten a free ride to the top side of the band, consolidated between the mean band and the top side of the band, in some cases a little bit, you know, more than others, like this one over here in May of 2020 versus this one over here, which is just a big old girthy green dildo shot to the heavens. And in all cases, it's busted on through for new highs. Sorry, not new highs, but new highs on the rally. You can see this one over here did eventually fail, but in the prior 3 iterations, or sorry, the prior 2, and then this one over here did actually march on towards new all-time highs, you know, over the course of the next year to 2 years to 3 years. Now, I think that it'd be much too aggressive for me to say anything like that, you know, currently coming at where Bitcoin's at right here. I still maintain my overall position. This is neither a bull market nor a bear market. This is a sideways transitionary market that Bitcoin's likely going to be living in on the higher term timeframes for, you know, a year or two, maybe even longer than that. I don't know. But, you know, expect ranges basically between the current lows and, you know, as far up as like the mid 40s. I'm not saying that Bitcoin's going to go to the mid 40s. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm just saying that, look, you know, we're looking at like a macro sideways here for a while. That's my main disposition. Anyways, as soon as Bitcoin closed above the median band, or sorry, the mean band right here, another retest of the top side of the Gaussian channel. Again, this is not a breakout condition right here. Things can consolidate between the top side of the channel and the mean band for a while, which is now between about basically the current high at about $26,500 and the mean band coming in at low 23 now. So, you know, does that go on for a long time like you saw over here? Perhaps yes, but I do think a few of the charts that we're going to be looking at soon enough do provide some more color onto, you know, what's more likely in the short term, let's say, or in the relative short term. But again, in all prior cases, we have seen it ultimately bust on through well above the topside channel. And in that case, probably looking somewhere around like low 30s. And this is, again, probably months down the road. But let's now go into the daily time frame. Now, we were looking at this particular indicator over the past week as a likely indication of Bitcoin trying higher. It was the daily jewel, which let me just bring up my proper chart over here where I actually have it mapped out. And you can see that the jewel right here got down into the extreme critical zone, the extreme bearish critical zone, I should say, below 20. This happened for the first time in a long time, I should say, but it's really only happened a few times, or not a few times, but it's only happened a handful of times in Bitcoin's full history, as I pull out here, and you can reference the full history on the charts. It's happened 13 prior times. Elsa, stop laughing in the background. There's nothing funny about this, okay? People still think this market is bearish, and you think it's funny. Just funny. Ha-ha, tee-hee. Very, very, very... No respect. No, I apologize, Bears. Elsa is disrespectful, and you need to learn a damn lesson. So anyways, you can see 13 prior times in Bitcoin's history where it's actually gotten down to these critical levels and then turned white. That turning of white initiates the overall setup, which we observed officially on Sunday, which was giving us, a probabilistic continuation towards basically where Bitcoin is at right now. I have gone ahead and backtested all the prior iterations for this one. Again, 13 prior iterations, 11 out of 13 of the prior ones played out with a major upside move, so it does have a rather high strike rate. Obviously, that's going to be going up to 12 out of 14. But what's more interesting right now is where are we at within the grand scheme of things? Because on average, this particular setup took 21 days to play out from setup given, with a standard deviation of 7 days. So giving it a range between 14 to 28 days. Well, to put things into perspective, this setup is now 5 days old. That would be a bit of an outlier, as that's below the bottom side of the first standard deviation. Now, we do see one prior iteration, this was way back here, years ago, where it did take only 4 days. Again, a bit of an outlier, but things actually did continue on ultimately from that region. It's just there was an obvious high, so I had to mark it there. But as you can see, that would be one of many. So it, in my opinion, or at least based off statistics, it's not necessarily my opinion. I always want to be leaving my opinion out of this. I want to be presenting this price statistics as they are, and you make your own fucking decisions. I mean, that's the way that it should be. I'm not your financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just sharing shit that I'm looking at, for better or worse. And anyways, if the average is 21 days with the bottom side of the first standard deviation at 14 days, I do think that it'd be reasonable based off these statistics to be saying, hey, this one could very easily go for more. So when we look at that and then compare the average return and especially the top side of the first standard deviation for returns based off the sample size here, we can get areas of interest between about 15%, which obviously it's pretty much at right now, or a little bit above about right now, and all the way up to 23.5%. The highest of these max, was 38% based off this particular setup. So, again, where are we right now? About 17.5%. So right around the average, I'd say. But because the days it's still young in the days, what would it potentially look like if Bitcoin were to go for the top side of the first standard deviation at 24%? Because this would be kind of the kind of setup that you would expect, or not expect, but would have the potential to see such a thing. Well, that would 24% or 23.5%, I think it was, puts you where? Puts you 27,500. Why is that of interest? Well, at 27,500, Bitcoin would be closing above the top side of the Gaussian channel on the 5-day time frame. If it were to do that, that's at the point where, hey, very likely we're going to see, a breakout similar to these here. It does eventually retest the top side, yes, but these were like pretty major moves on explosive upside volatility in the short term. And then, or there's actually one more over here, but you get the idea. Once it busts on through, it likes to trend for a while. And then very likely comes back down to wherever the top side of the Gaussian channel is. But for right now, that would be relevant if we do see continuation. Again, top side of the Gaussian channel is 26,250. And obviously, the areas that we just looked at would be well above that if it were to hit. But here's the thing. There's another major setup of brewing over here as well. We spoke about this very briefly yesterday. I haven't brought up one of these in a while now. It's the 5-day volatility versus stochastic momentum signature. We've seen many of these even in the past year. Yeah, in the past year, we saw 1, 2, 3, 4 setups here. Sorry, am I on the right time frame? Yeah, I am. Okay, good. All right. Scared myself for a second there. We did see, several of those in the past year, which were pretty fucking good. Anyways, what essentially is the setup? Well, whenever volatility is extremely compressed, as we see it right here, and I define extreme compression as anything below 15 percentile or more, the expansion phase that naturally and mathematically follows that compression phase has led to an average move of like 40%. And the direction of these stochastic oscillators had a high probability of kind of forecasting the direction of that volatility expansion. To put numbers on it, we can do another study over here. And in the case of long entries, meaning that, when volatility expansion happens, which right now it has not right now. Obviously, volatility expansion won't be had until it's like back above 15 percentile and preferably back above the moving average right here, which could take some time. I mean, it could be that we get something like this, where it initially bounces and then does that and then goes for the explosive move. Very possible. So that's why it's, in my opinion, rather important to be waiting for full-on verification. But in the case of upside, the direction of the stochastic oscillator has been actually perfect in its prior 11 iterations in getting the direction for, more upside. 11 out of 11 played out in that fashion over the course of an average of 33 days for an average return of about 43% with a standard deviation of just over 10. So, let's say that were to fire off from here, that would put Bitcoin where? Low 30s, basically. Again, until we actually do see volatility expansion, though, this could very well turn into a downside setup. Very, very possible. So, it's obviously going to have to play it by ear, but we do have stats for that as well. 10 prior iterations, 8 out of 10 did play out with the downside fashion when the stochastic oscillator pointed to the downside for an average return of about 35.5% over about 34 days. So, if we were to take that off the current highs, let's say Bitcoin gets rejected here, that would put Bitcoin back down at $17,500 But for right now, obviously everything considered, and especially as long as Bitcoin's kind of grinding up against the top side of those channels, probably more likely, or it's just more relevant to be looking for upside than downside. Anyways, so now that we've gone through that, we are 12 minutes into this video, probably a little bit too long, but I do want to talk about, maybe a cause for concern here on the short-term timeframes. So if we go and reference, TradingView, calculate the damn ranges, baby. I don't pay premium for fucking nothing. Yeah, here we go. There it is. Yes. Okay. Just be nice, everyone. It's the secret. Just sweet talk the charts. We can see over here that the 4-hour is closing above the 50% of historic returns range highs. And volatility actually did contract into that on the moving average. Now, we do have stats for this particular setup here, and I should probably bring it up. Oh, motherfucker. I don't have it up right now. Let me just, I don't want to reveal any of my disgusting search history, so it's very embarrassing, especially here in Dubai, you have no idea what you need to search for. Anyways, so this particular setup does have a slightly higher probability of a downside move. Yeah, here's the 4-hour time frame. About a 66% probability for a downside move over 50 tested iterations, which would be quite nasty, 5%. Now, we did just see one of these play out. Where was it? Yeah, it was right over here. So on Tuesday, getting that last pullback basically from where Bitcoin's at right now to the current $24,000 low. So does it happen again right here? I mean, this would be the kind of one that does have a higher probability of failing from my observations. And in the case of a failure, we'll go over the failure condition, but in the case of a failure, did produce on average a 4% move to the upside. So what would be a failure? Well, need to see a closure above the current highs on a wick basis, which is 26,600 or so. If that happens, then we're probably looking, It's actually not that helpful in this case. Probably looking somewhere around about $27,000. But what's even more interesting about that is that the daily, we can see the tops of the daily range coming in around actually that same region, 26,700. So good confluences right there. Probably another short-term pullback. But here's the thing: if Bitcoin starts to close above that region on a daily time frame, anywhere above 26.7, that's where things become very interesting for the more near term, as I don't really have a reason not to be looking for a move somewhere around $30,000 if that were to happen. That's when that would become a little bit more, I guess, actionable. But of course, that's neither here nor there. It's a long day to go. Today's a Friday, obviously, and I suspect that if Friday closes anywhere above $26,000, that's going to very likely be a setup for next week. Maybe not exactly now, but next week we'd probably see that try for continuation towards towards these numbers, perhaps. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. How will you know that the short-term timeframes do reject? Well, if you see them come back down below, like, I don't know, 25.3, 25.3. That's at the point where, hey, we are going to be witnessing a medium-term time frame rejection and probably move back down into the mid 24s. But yeah, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. As long as Bitcoin's closing dailies above 25, probabilities favor the BULAs still in the short term. So yeah, I think that's a good place. As always, I want to be wishing you the best. Take care. Much love, and see you hopefully soon.